welcome to this session of FSCONS in Gothenburg 2015. We're going to hear about birGit by Patrik Gustafsson.
Okay, I'm really glad being here, and I'm honored to be branded as a developer of groundbreaking user experience. I started writing this because I really like Git, and well, I like to configure Git, and it ended up being when I wrote commands, they were like this long instead of this, and it's annoyed me. And then I wondered, how should I do this? And at the same time, my cousin had a grandma that is called birGit, and I was thinking that if I ever do anything with Git, it has to be called birGit. So these two ideas merged and became something beautiful that I'm going to share with you today. Sorry that my own computer doesn't work, because now I'm going to be confused.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, so there's me. Ooh,
Just try to refresh that.
it's coming.
Yeah, here we go.
We have the fastest connection ever built. So it has a GitHub page, and the reason I'm here is that somewhere here I have this. Okay, I have to
Click on alternative and new. Tillåt denna sida tillfälligt. Demo. There you go.
thank you.
And do the same again.
Can I just allow this page?
Yeah.
Oh. So my presentation is made in JavaScript.
You need
What?
You need a JavaScript, right?
Yeah.
It was like 7 external libraries or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you go to review.
We also allowed Flash. Is that okay?
What?
No, sorry.
It doesn't use Flash. So this is actually a presentation just made from the README file of my GitHub project. So, well, and this is me. And you can find this page slide by going here if you want to tag along or click the links or do stuff with it. You can find all the code here, and then, well, you can find my work here, me there, and other stuff. Also me. So this is me, and I'm a software developer. I work with as a consultant, making business intelligence or something for a big tele company. You can read more about that there. And we mainly use open source tools, but we build some proprietary stuff. So this is birGit. It's supposed to be an easy tool to use that allows you to do all the stuff that you want to do with Git in a more simple way. And this is some slogans I wrote, so you should come to this talk. Now you know why you are here. You want to learn about birGit, this amazing tool for Git. But why am I here? Well, I want two things of this day. I want to double the amount of developers in this project. It can be really hard, but That's one of my goals. And I want to double the user space. I have somewhere between 1 and 5 users currently. And I want you to be one of them. So, this is the stuff I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about how you use it, so you know if it's interesting, how it's built, and how you expand it. And well, this is maybe about expanding it. And then I will talk a bit about why birGit is open source and some design choices that I made that I think is good for an open source project, at least a small one. So if you ever want to use birGit, which you want to use after this, you have to do this. And I wasn't planning on demoing this, but since I'm not on my own computer, I will do that. So basically, you select somewhere where you want to put birGit, and then you clone it into that folder, and then you add it so it's part of your path. I will do a light version of this. I will not put it in the .profiles, just make it available for me during this session. And then instead of writing birGit, which is too long, you make an alias, so you write B. And since you all probably use Git, this part is boring, so I will try to do it quite fast. I can try Skift Ctrl-C, eller Ctrl-V för pasta.
Tryck på mitt exempel.
Okej.
Kan du skriva i huvudet eller ska jag komma ihåg? Jag vet inte vad det var. Nej, det är nog inte bättre.
Yeah, we try once more. Okay, I write from my head. So you have to help me because I have a really bad memory. So clone, blah 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 blah. Thank you. Save my day.
So helpful.
Well, without that comment, we would be stuck here for hours. Did I forget something?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm a Git trainer, so it doesn't show. Forgetting the .git part. Well, so now we're cloning birGit, and I have to make an alias because, well, I hope you don't use B for anything else.
Not for the rest of this session.
I can't tab complete.
Oh, you should be able to.
I should.
Not, maybe not on creating aliases. Sorry.
Okay, let's hope this works. Yeah. Whew. It worked.
Take one step right.
Much better.
Yeah. Because it's going to be a lot of things written here. So, well, this is a few slides ahead, or one, maybe. So let's go back to the slides. So, I skipped this part and just went for that one.
Skip that.
now, if you do this, you are a user of birGit. Yeah. That's all 5 of you have to do. And this is what I did. If you just write birGit or B, in this case, you list all the commands available. So you can easily check what can I do with this tool. I don't have a man page yet, but if anyone likes writing, you're welcome to participate in that regard as well. This command is how birGit started, because yeah, getting a good log out of Git it takes too much writing to do. So instead of well, I have to have a Git repo.
So you just clone one? You clone one?
Yeah, you're brilliant! So, the ad hoc life of presentations. So, this is the birGit log. Well, it's a small screen. Normally it takes up half my screen. It contains a graph. If you are used to using merge commits and stuff, you get this beautiful tree out there. And it contains the short hash, which is the only thing you need to identify your commit, and the short message, so you understand what you're doing, when it was done, and who did it. If you compare this to the normal Git, well, you get about the same information in a lot of more space. And well, maybe you want to type this command or the mylog command, but it's really hard to follow what's what. Thankfully there are some yellow here, so I can separate them. But I really prefer this one. So many people recommend that when you do a Git log, you have to write down important stuff. Yeah, maybe that's enough. This is the first step. So you get something similar to birGit, but you're missing some parts. So, and to get the rest, you have to write a lot more. So that's the first problem Git solves. There are also small commands, like knowing where which repo you are in. Because if you are like me, you have Git repos everywhere. Now I'm working on birGit, but if I step out, now I'm not on my computer, so you'll probably complain. But on my computer I have one Git repo based on the root of my computer, one Git repo on my home directory, one Git repo for different projects, and sometimes I have a sub-project where I have a different Git repo. So on my computer I would sometimes forget that I created a Git repo for a specific purpose. So this one is a good check. Otherwise I mainly use it for scripting purposes. Because one of the ways I've written birGit is that it should give the same results regardless where in your Git repo you are. We can just jump to the next, to my favorite command. Ah. Let's take this one instead. So changes do is that it tells you what's. Can you see down here? Or?
Yep.
It tells you what files that you have changed since the last commit. So if I touch the file, it won't be shown because it's not changed because it's new. But if I touch existing file, what happens then? Work?
Because it doesn't track timestamps.
Ah, sorry. So I have to write something. What editor do you use? Do you have Vim?
Just append with echo or something.
Yeah, it goes something.
Yeah, Echo is good. Thank you. Every talk should have something about cats. So now you get what changes has been done to your file system that's tracked by Git. And if you want to know what changes you've done that is not tracked by Git yet, you have the new command. And if you want to check what changes is in the last commit, like the head commit, you use changes in. If you see this command, they are similar, that they are only reporting relevant stuff. If you compare that to what you probably would use in a normal Git setup, you will get this. You get the same information, but it's not structured in a way that you can pipe it. Do you have Genie on your computer?
What was that?
Genie or Gedit or some window text manager?
I don't know. I think so.
Vim?
Vim
Yeah.
is there.
Okay, I tried with Vim. I haven't tried it with Vim, but basically what I do, I develop and then I develop more, and then somewhere along the line I wonder, what have I done? So then I use these changes and then I pipe it into my favorite editor. I'm a bit afraid of doing this because I never done it with Vim. So, didn't work. I normally use like IDEA or a Genie or something like that to edit my files, and all the files are just introduced into my editor, and that's thanks to the fact that that there are separate lines for each answer. If I have multiple files, there are multiple lines, and they will be open in my editor. Something you can't do with this information, because you don't know the path and you don't know where to fetch stuff. It's hard. So I jump back to my speech, so I'm sure not to miss anything. Yeah. Let's take a look at this command as well. Well, if you work with Git, most people I talk to end up using the rebase command instead of the merge way of doing stuff, which allows you to get this liner history file. Without merges and splits. What the birGit rebase do, that is knows that you're working with a remote called origin and a remote called and a branch on origin called master. So when you do rebase, it fetches your remote and rebases on top of that. And that's to simplify 90% of my rebases. It's against the shared library. Then this is this is my upcoming favorite. Because when I work with a task, I make a lot of commits, and I give a simple purpose to each one of them. They take care of one layer of the code. And then when I working on the front end part, I realized, damn, I needed this information from the backend, but I already committed the backend. Git allows me to do a rebase and go back and then add things, but birGit allows me to say, what I have staged right now, I want to put in that commit. So it allows me to rewrite the history. This is not completely finished. I use it from time to time, but I'm always a bit scared when I use it. It lacks a few things that I would like to add to it, like checking that I'm not amending farther back than origin master, so I don't change the shared history. And some edge cases, how it handles if there are conflicts and stuff. Because currently, if you get the merge conflict when doing this amend, you will drop out of this action, and you have to do some rebase stuff before it continues. But it's really powerful and has a lot of potential. So now you know a few of the commands in birGit, some of the simpler, really working ones, and some of the cooler stuff, and some of the upcoming stuff. So how does birGit works? To be a birGit command, you have to be in the folder you choose for birGit. So I'm going to show you the content of the main file. So this is birGit. This is all that it is. And from this, all the stuff I made is possible. It basically checks where this command is, and then looks in a subfolder of that command, and tries to run the file with the name that you put after. So if I write the birgit log, the $1 would be replaced by log. And then it checks if that file's there and it is executable, and if it is that, it runs that executable file with the rest of whatever I put in. So this structure allows me and anybody who wants to extend birgit to just put a new file in that folder. And if it's not matched, you get not valid command and some error. And then it actually writes out the list of valid commands, because that's what just calling birgit does. Because here is what you get when you don't have any arguments, which is the contents of the folder yeah, sorted and stuff. So, this file is not going to change much over time. I'm thinking about adding one part with a plugin idea. If you want to say that this can be used with birGit, but this is not birGit, kind of stuff. But since birGit is so easy to expand, maybe that's not so important. But maybe all people don't use Redmine, and some people would like birGit to support some Redmine stuff. Maybe that should be a plugin instead of a part. So when I write the commands of birGit, this is in my backhead. Most of the commands I wrote before writing down this design choices, but it still have been part of the journey all the way. So all the commands should be easy to type. That's why each result is on one line. And it should be irrelevant where in your repository you stand when you're writing your command. So it should be, that's because I think it's easier to make it scriptable if you don't have to guess what relations you have. You always have an absolute path in here. And then I think of my kind of firm grandmother, well, my cousin's kind of grandmother, guiding hand in birGit. So that's what I'm trying to do. So let's have a look at the simple example. I showed you how you could write it, but in birGit I add a little bit extra because it's easy. So, this is a simple one, and it started out with this line here that I wanted the log, I wanted the graph, I wanted some special content, and well, I wanted this. And you don't want to write that yourself, you want to have it saved somewhere. And then it allows some arguments to be added afterwards. And instead of having it shown in a less screen that you have to abort, you just pipe it cat. This part here makes it so that it's 10 commits that are shown, not all of them. And if I want to specify something else, that one will be overridden. Yeah. There are some bugs that I know of, but since they don't affect me or most people, they are not important. So in this case here, you have the arguments gets lost sometimes under some conditions. So then you have to patch birGit if you need more arguments than n10. So since you're all bright, I want to show you this command, and then you can start thinking about how it can be approved.
Is it just a typo there, or is it any reason you have two M's in an end?
It's probably a typo. I'm dyslexic, so. And well, I don't have a bug in the code at least. So. So, any suggestions how to improve this one?
I like the warning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not encouraging.
It doesn't allow you to break, but it still warns you. So, yeah, I really like this one. It's a beautiful one. I'm not gonna explain it to you. I just want to show you it. So.
You could write the warning to standard error instead of standard out.
Yeah,
Probably.
that would be nice.
With most error messages.
Just running this command is an error. I have one more like that. That I have a nice warning since we are into warnings. This started out as a way to. I wanted to start over where I was without the mess I made. So I made a birGit crash. But I made it so powerful that I had to slow it down. So now it's basically, unless you configure your Git, it's makes just a stash of what you have in your working directory. But in the beginning it had clean and remove all stuff. And I accidentally removed stuff that I shouldn't remove. So now if you want to have the advanced version of trash, you have to configure that in your Git config. And the recommendation is to do that per repo. If I did the full trash command on my home directory, since only like 1% of my files in my home directory are tracked by Git, I wouldn't have much left to do. I have to restart. Well, so now I've shown you some simple Git commands and some advanced Git commands that are supported by birGit. There are a lot more, and of course you want to be a developer, and well, you basically do the same as you did when you install it. At first you click the fork button, and then you replace with your name, so you have your own copy of birGit, and you can then post it up to GitHub. Use your repo, because you won't get writing rights to my version of birGit, and then you make your own. And if you think your work is good, which I think all your work is good, you send me pull requests and I will take it in. And if you're greedy and just want it for yourself, that's okay also. Yeah, just use same description of change, because otherwise I won't be happy. So if you think I'm full of shit, what are your alternatives? You can use your own scripts. Just put them in your path. You can put them in your path and let them have the name Git dash, and then whatever you want to call your command, you can actually use them in Git instead of anything else. So you can write Git and your command. But if you're gonna use your own script, of course you're gonna build them on top of birGit. That's just the best way. You have git alias. That's if you put it in your config file, you can put alias for git, and they actually work in the same way that you write git and then the alias, and then whatever you wrote in the alias would work, and that works fine for commands like log. Actually, if you Google how to improve your Git, you will probably find a lot of these examples of how people improve their log. The reason why I didn't choose this one is that I think that having a separate project makes Git, the normal Git, work similar on different computers. So if a script somewhere relies on using some Git functionality, it hasn't been changed by your Git aliases. And also, if you sit down at your friend's computer, it works as you expect it to. And also, your Git config contains stuff that's not usable by other persons, like configurations of your branch and yeah, a lot of personal and repository specific configurations. So you don't want to just grab other person's config files and their aliases, because you don't know what is you accidentally copy. And then you can use normal shell aliases to replace stuff. Both the alias versions have the problem when you do the more advanced stuff like birGit amend. It's really hard to write a multi-line alias. I haven't tried. Probably possible, but I wouldn't try it. So that's it. How am I on time? Time's up. Well, we don't have more time, so I won't show you more code. So, any questions or? Yeah.
I have a question. Is there a specific reason for you not to fall back on Git if you lack the command?
I tried that, and it was annoying.
Okay.
Yeah. So the complete user group at that time didn't like it. So, so I removed it again. I think it's good to separate birGit from Git and think of it as something else, because you always have Git to fall back on. Yeah. Any more questions?
License?
I'm not sure. Is this the right question? It's GPL version 3. It's the one I use most. If you want some other license, just tell me. I'm not that.
In what areas would you like birGit to be improved? Like some new commands or?
I can tell you about the workflow I see for birGit. And birGit is kind of written around rebase workflow, where you continuously rebase. You don't use branches. You don't bother with them. So I don't need so much in that area. I would like some pull feature, or some push feature, because birGit often throws you out in detached head. When there's a command called birgit master, which checks out your origin master in detached head. It doesn't create a branch for it. And git is really evil about pushing from detached head. Yeah, write long lines. So some solution to how you want to push. Because now what I do on my computer is that I put in my config how it should push always, and I would like to have something smarter. Maybe if you are in detached head, push to master. If you are on branch, push to like Git would do it normally. Yeah, something like that. That's one of them. And then the amend would be really nice to be added to. But first of all, just use it, and then you will find what's lacking and add that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you think any of this will propagate into the official Git command?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's supposed to.
If it's better than the standard. I mean, Git is changing also all the time.
Yeah. I would like to have the change command and the new command and the change in command in my Git. Yeah. So, like, to get out of the file names. The log, I don't know. I would prefer it in the birGit way because I wrote that. But will other people be annoyed? I don't know. Okay. I love to talk about birGit, so just talk with me later. Thank you.